The photo on the Florana de Armas was tired. Not just from the long shooting hours, the endless lights, and the noise of Hollywood. She was tired in her heart. Something had been wearing her down quietly, day by day. She walked slowly through the hallway of the studio, her bag slung loosely over her shoulder, her hands shaking just a little. The hallway was quiet, the kind of silence that somehow made everything feel heavier. She reached her trailer, opened the door, and sighed. Her things were scattered. Not messy, just ... unsettled. Like her mind, she reached into her bag to find her phone. But instead, something slipped out and fluttered to the ground. A small, old photograph. It landed face up. Anna froze. She knelt down slowly and stared at it. A little girl, barefoot, with messy brown hair and a gap-toothed smile. She was holding a tiny red ribbon in her hand and standing in front of a peeling yellow house. Her eyes sparkled, full of hope. Anna had forgotten that photo was still in her bag. She hadn't looked at it in years. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. And just then, there was a soft knock at her trailer door. Anna. It was Keanu. She hesitated, wiped her face quickly, even though no tears had fallen yet. "Come in," she said quietly. Keanu stepped inside, holding 2 coffees. He always brought her one when she looked tired. He didn't speak much, and that's what Anna liked about him. His kindness was quiet, never loud, never forced. But today, something was different. His eyes fell on the photo in her hand, and he stopped. His whole body froze, Anna noticed. "What's wrong?" she asked, confused. He took a step closer, his face unreadable. Then slowly he reached out and touched the corner of the photo. "Where did you get this?" His voice was soft, but there was a tension in it she had never heard before. Anna looked at him puzzled. "It's me, when I was little, in Cuba. This was taken in front of our house. Why?" Keanu sat down without asking, his hands clasped, his gaze still locked on the photo. He didn't speak for a long moment, then said something that made Anna's skin go cold. "I've been to that house." Anna blinked. "What?" "Years ago," he whispered. "I was traveling before I ever worked with you. I was looking for someone who helped my mother when she was sick. An old woman who used to live in that house." Anna's mouth was slightly open, her thoughts running in circles. "That house was my grandmother's." Keanu looked at her, the quietness in his eyes replaced with something deeper. Then, "I think she saved my mother's life." The room fell into complete silence. Anna looked down at the photo again. Suddenly her memories flooded back. The scent of fried plantains, the way her grandmother used to sing to the radio, the way they had to share one light bulb between rooms. It had all felt like a distant dream. But now, it was suddenly real again. Keanu's voice broke the silence. "She gave my mother a place to rest when she was running from something. Didn't ask questions, just fed her, gave her a bed, treated her like family." Anna's hands gripped the photo tighter. "Why didn't you ever tell me this before?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Because I didn't know," Keanu said. "Not until now. Not until I saw that house in the background." The emotional weight between them was thick. Too heavy to ignore. 2 people from 2 different worlds, connected by a thread neither had seen until now. Anna leaned back against the trailer wall, her eyes damp. "I used to think no one remembered her. She died when I was 10, and after that, everything fell apart." Keanu stood up and walked to the small window of the trailer. Outside, the world moved like nothing had changed. But inside, everything had. He turned back and looked at Anna. "She saved my family. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I was meant to meet you." Anna laughed softly, but it wasn't joy, it was disbelief. "That sounds like a movie." "Stories are better than movies," he replied gently. A long silence followed, but it wasn't awkward, it was full. Full of memories, meaning, and things that didn't need words. Anna took a deep breath. I don't know why, but I feel like something just shifted inside me. Keanu nodded. Me too. Yana looked down at the photo again. For years she had carried it like a wound, but now, somehow, it felt more like a gift. Later that night, after the shoot ended, Anna sat alone on a bench near the lot. The photo was tucked into her coat pocket. The sky above was dark, stars barely visible. She was still thinking about Keanu's words about her grandmother, about how small actions ripple through time in ways no one can predict. Just then, footsteps. She turned to Keanu, sat beside her, quiet, respectful. He didn't speak, didn't ask. He just sat. Anna leaned her head against his shoulder. Just for a moment, and for the first time in a long time. She didn't feel alone. Echoes of the past morning after felt different. Anna woke up earlier than usual. Her phone was still on silent. Her trailer was still quiet. But inside, something had shifted. She touched her coat pocket. The photo was still there, folded gently. Like it mattered, last night kept playing in her head, the way Keanu had looked at the photo. The stillness in his voice. The way he had said, "She saved my family." Anna hadn't told anyone else about her grandmother in years. Not because she didn't care, but because no one had ever asked. And yet somehow, Keanu had found her story without even trying. When she walked onto set that day, everything looked the same. Bright lights, busy crew, tired actors. But Keanu was already there, standing near the camera crew, sipping his coffee. He looked up and smiled. Not the kind of smile people give for cameras. The kind that says, "I see you." I remember Anna walked over quietly. "You okay?" Keanu asked. She nodded. Just ... thinking about everything. He didn't press. He just handed her a second coffee, like always. But today she held it differently, like it meant something more. They sat together near the edge of the soundstage, away from the noise. Keanu leaned back. "I've been thinking about that house." Anna looked at him. Me too. There was this small red cloth hanging in the window. Do you remember it? Anna blinked in surprise. Yes, it was my grandmother's prayer cloth. She used to tie it up every morning and say, "As long as this hangs, our home is safe." Keanu nodded slowly. I remember staring at it for a long time. I didn't understand what it meant back then. But now I do. Anna felt her throat tighten. What happened to your mother after that? She asked. Keanu was quiet for a moment. She got better. Slowly, she stopped looking over her shoulder, stopped crying at night. Your grandmother, she gave her space to heal. When she came back to the U.S., she was never the same, but in a good way.
Stronger, softer,
Anna whispered. She always believed kindness didn't need words. She was right. For a few seconds, they just breathed together. Then Keanu said, "I want to take you there." Anna stared to Cuba. It's at that house.
as
Anna's heart skipped. Keanu, ... It's been years. I don't even know if it still exists. Then let's find out. His voice was calm, but steady. Not just an idea. A promise. Anna didn't answer right away. She looked down at the concrete beneath her shoes. Her thoughts were loud. Then she said softly, "I don't know if I'm ready." Keanu nodded. "You don't have to be ready today, but when you are, ... we'll go." That evening, Anna sat alone. In her apartment, she laid the photo on the table. There was a soft knock on her door. Her neighbor, an elderly woman named Teresa, stood outside holding a box. "This came for you. Someone dropped it off while you were gone." Anna thanked her, confused. The box had no return name, only her name written in clean. Careful letters. She opened it. Inside, wrapped in soft paper, was an old book. A faded journal. On the inside cover, in curling script, was her grandmother's name. Anna gasped. Her fingers trembled. How? Who? She flipped through the pages. Some were blank. Others were full of writing, prayers, recipes, names, memories. But one page near the back had a pressed flower taped to it. Underneath was a short sentence in Spanish. "If someone finds this, it means my love lived on." Anna's hands covered her mouth. tears spilled from her eyes. This was more than a book. This was a voice from the past, a whisper from the woman who had taught her to be gentle, to be kind, to believe, and somehow, It had come back the next day. On set, Anna walked straight up to Keanu, holding the journal close to her chest. "It found me," she said. He looked confused. "What?" "My grandmother's journal? Someone left it for me." Keanu looked stunned. "Do you know who?" "No." But deep down, she had a feeling. She opened the journal and pointed to the flower. "This only grew near her house." "Said you went there once. Do you remember anyone else being there?" Keanu nodded slowly. "A boy, maybe 9 or 10. He helped your grandmother carry water. His name was Andres." Keanu's face lit up. "That's right," Anna smiled. "I think he's the one who sent it." They stood together in silence, feeling something invisible between them grow stronger. Something rooted in the past, but blooming now. Anna whispered, "I want to go. I want to see it."
Nice.
Keanu smiled gently. "Then we go." But before they could plan, something unexpected happened. The director announced a sudden shoot. Delay 3 weeks off. The timing felt too perfect to be real. Anna and Keanu stood together near the lot, looking at the sky which had just begun to rain. Soft drops hit the ground. Anna whispered, "I think she's guiding us." Keanu looked at her. "I think so too." They didn't say more. They didn't need to. Some journeys begin long before the first step is taken, and this one started with a single photo on the floor. The road to Hearthplane touched down with a soft bump, but Anna's heart felt like it had been falling for hours. Outside her window, the land looked dry and golden. Small homes with rusted tin roofs, narrow roads lined with trees, and in the distance sold mountains rising like quiet watchers. Keanu was silent beside her. He hadn't said much since they boarded, and Anna hadn't either. It wasn't an awkward silence. It was the kind of silence that comes before something important, for the first time in years. She was back in Cuba. Not for a film, not for an event. For something real. The air hit her differently as they stepped outside the airport. It was warm, with the faint scent of dust and salt. Something in her chest tightened. It was like walking into a memory. A young man with kind eyes waited outside, holding a cardboard sign. It read, "Ana de Armas." They walked over. "You're Andres?" Anna asked. He nodded. "You remember me?" Anna smiled slowly. "You used to chase chickens and steal mangoes," he laughed. "I still do sometimes." Keanu stood quietly behind her, watching them. Andres turned to him. "You came back?" Keanu nodded. "You still hang the red cloth?" "Every morning." They all got into a small, dusty car. The road was bumpy and uneven. The windows rolled down, letting in the wind. It smelled like sugar cane and wet stone. Anna stared out at the trees racing past. Her fingers clutched the journal in her lap. She hadn't opened it since they left. She didn't want to read it until she was there. Keanu finally spoke. "You okay?" Anna nodded. "Just scared of what I might feel." "Feelings are good," he said quietly. "They mean it mattered." When they reached the village, everything looked smaller than Anna remembered. The houses were tighter together, the road narrower. The colors faded, but something about it still glowed. People peeked from windows. Some recognized her. Others whispered quietly, unsure if it was really her. Anna didn't stop to talk. Her feet moved fast, until she stood in front of it. The yellow house, peeling paint, cracked steps, but still standing. She stared at it. Motionless, Andres touched her shoulder. "I keep it clean, like she would have wanted." Anna walked up the steps, her hand brushing the old wooden railing. She turned the doorknob. It opened inside. Everything was exactly where it had been. The faded couch, the table with one missing leg, the tiny stove. She stepped into the bedroom. There on the wall was the red cloth. Still hanging in the window, Anna covered her mouth. Tears spilled silently. Keanu stayed near the doorway, watching. Anna finally whispered, this was her room. She sat down slowly on the edge of the bed, then, with trembling hands, She opened the journal page after page. Her grandmother's voice came alive. Stories of struggle, of kindness, of helping strangers. One entry made her stop. A woman came tonight. Her face was tired. She had no money, no shoes. But I saw a mother in her eyes. I gave her soup and let her sleep in my bed. The girl she carried, ... She smiled in her sleep. Anna looked up slowly. Was that your mom? She asked Keanu. He nodded once. Anna held the book against her chest. Everything felt connected now. That night, they sat outside under a sky full of stars. Andres made dinner rice beans and fried plantains, just like the old days. She saved people, Andres said. But she never talked about it. She just did it, like it was normal, Anna said softly. To her, kindness was the only language. Keanu looked up. I want to fix the house. Anna turned to him. What? I want to help rebuild it, keep it standing. It helped my mother. It gave you a home. It's more than a house. Anna's voice cracked. Keanu ... Why do you care so much? His answer was simple. Because no one like her should be forgotten. Anna looked away, but her eyes were wet. Then we do it together, she said. The next day, they started cleaning. Andres brought paint. Keanu found tools. Anna scrubbed walls with her bare hands. Villagers came by, some curious, some offering help. An old woman brought a photo. Your grandmother helped my son when he was sick, the boy said. She gave me shoes. When I had none, story after story poured in. Anna realized something, that her grandmother had planted seeds in everyone. Quiet seeds of love and kindness. This house was more than wood and brick. It was living proof of a good heart. One night, as they painted the outer wall, Keanu found an old box hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Inside were letters, handwritten. Folded neatly, Anna opened one. For the girl who will come back one day. I hope you know I never stopped watching the stars for you. Anna couldn't hold back anymore. She cried in Keanu's arms. Cried for the years she had forgotten. For the things she never said. For the woman who gave her everything. Keanu held her close. He didn't speak. He just stayed. Like always. The stars she watched for us, morning air smelled like fresh rain and dust. Birds chirped from the trees, and the ground still glistened slightly under the sunlight. Anna stood barefoot outside the yellow house, her feet touching the same soil she had played on as a child. It had only been a few days since they arrived, but everything inside her felt different, softer, clearer. Last night's tears had left her feeling empty, but in a good way. Like something heavy had finally been put down. Keanu came out quietly, holding 2 small mugs of warm coffee. You slept? He asked gently. Anna nodded. Deeply. First time in a long time. They sat on the front steps together. The paint on the wall beside them was now fresh, a soft yellow, like the original color. Even the window frame had been repaired. The red cloth still hung proudly inside. Anna stared at the hills beyond the trees. You know what's strange? She said softly. What? All this time I thought I had moved on from my past. But maybe it wasn't about moving on. Maybe it was about returning to it, learning from it. Keanu took a slow sip of his drink. Sometimes the past doesn't need fixing, just remembering. Anna looked down at the worn journal in her lap and honoring. That afternoon, a small girl came by the house. Her name was Lola. She wore dusty sandals and had a curious spark in her eyes. She held out a crumpled piece of paper. Is this you? Anna unfolded. It was a drawing. Yeah, the yellow house, the red cloth, and 3 stick figures. One looked like Anna. The other had long hair, probably her grandmother. And the third had a long black coat. That's me. Keanu asked, smiling. Lola nodded shyly. Anna knelt beside her. Why did you draw this? My mama says this house has magic. Anna's eyes softened. What kind of magic? The kind that makes people kind. Anna hugged her gently. Then, I guess the magic still works. Keanu bent down and offered Lola a cookie from the kitchen. Her smile widened, and she ran off down the road. Anna looked at him. You're good with kids, he shrugged. I just want to be seen. Anna studied his face for a moment. Like you. Keanu chuckled softly. Maybe. In the evening, they visited the small graveyard at the edge of the village. Anna hadn't been back since the funeral. She stood in front of the simple stone with her grandmother's name. Her hand shook slightly as she laid a new flower down, plucked from the garden. They had revived together the day before. I didn't forget you, she whispered. The wind blew gently, as if replying. Keanu stood a few steps behind, giving her space. He watched her shoulders rise and fall. He could tell she was carrying 1,000 thoughts. And he didn't rush her. Anna knelt down. You taught me how to stand tall, even when I was scared, even when I felt small.
Oh.
And now I'm learning again. She paused, then added, You were never just my grandmother. You were my roots. When she finally stood up, she turned to Keanu. I want to build something here. He raised an eyebrow. What kind of something? A school or a shelter. Something real. Something lasting. Keanu nodded without hesitation. And let's build it. The next few days were filled with ideas, sketches, and long talks with the villagers. Some doubted at first. Others smiled and offered help. Keanu brought everyone together with calm presence. He never forced his way. He listened and then acted. Anna used her voice, her name, her heart. Soon, bricks were laid. Donations came in. Plans became walls. But something else was happening to Dada, and Keanu had grown closer in ways neither of them had words for. It wasn't romance. Not yet. It was deeper than that. Trust, a quiet bond. Keanu noticed the way Anna carried others' pain like it was her own. Anna noticed the way Keanu stepped in before she asked, to always right when she needed. Him, on the 6th night, they sat outside under the stars again. This time, the village kids joined them. Andres played an old guitar. Lola sang a quiet song. Anna leaned her head on Keanu's shoulder. He didn't move, didn't speak. She whispered, She used to watch the stars every night. Your grandmother. She said they were messages, little lights reminding us we're not alone. Keanu looked up. Then tonight, think she's saying she's proud. Anna blinked away sudden tears. I hope so. Keanu reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded photo. He handed it to her. What's this? She asked. I found. It tucked inside my old journal. It's from the first time I came here. I never knew who the girl was, ... until now. Anna unfolded it. It was the same house, same cloth. And in the corner of the frame, a little girl holding a mango. It was her, Anna gasped. This is me. Keanu nodded. I think the universe has been pulling us toward this moment for a long time. Anna looked at him, her eyes shining. Now we're here. Yeah, he whispered. Now we're here. They sat in silence as the stars above shimmered quietly. They had come full circle, but the journey wasn't over yet. What the village remembereth, morning sun rose slow and golden over the village, casting long shadows across the newly built foundation. The sounds of tools, laughter, and children's feet echoed around the yellow house. It was no longer just a memory. It was becoming a living place again. Anna stood barefoot in the dirt, hair tied back, a clipboard in one hand, and her grandmother's old scarf wrapped around her wrist. It still smelled faintly of wood smoke and jasmine. Beside her, Keanu Reeves lifted bricks with a quiet focus, sweat running down his temple. He worked like a man with a purpose, not for praise, not for fame, but because it mattered. They had named the project La Luz, which meant the light. It felt right, because that's what her grandmother had been to so many people here. And now Anna was beginning to see the stories that had never been told. That afternoon, an old man named Raoul stopped by with a broken walking stick. He wore a faded hat and walked with a limp, but his voice was still strong. He looked at Anna for a long time before speaking. You have her eyes. Anna helped him sit down on a bench near the front porch. You knew her? He nodded. She gave me soup every Sunday, even when there was no meat left, she said. Hope tastes better when it's shared. I never forgot that. Anna smiled softly. Thank you for telling me. Raoul looked toward the house. She used to stand right there, wave at every child who passed, no matter how busy she was. Anna's eyes warmed. That sounds like her. Keanu stepped over. and handed Raoul a new walking stick they had carved the day before. Raoul's hands trembled slightly as he took it. "Thank you, son." Keanu only nodded. As the week passed, more stories came. A teenage girl named Mirabelle whispered that her mother had once tried to leave the village too poor, too lost. But Anna's grandmother had convinced her to stay, gave her work, gave her dignity. A middle-aged man confessed that he had stolen from the house once, just bread. He had been starving. Instead of punishing him, the old woman had handed him more food and said, "Next time ask." Each story painted the same picture of a woman who gave without fear, helped without judgment, and who believed in people no one else did. Anna wrote each story down in the back pages of the journal, preserving them like gold. "They need to live somewhere," she told Keanu. He agreed. "It's history. It's healing." One evening, Keanu found Anna sitting alone in the backyard. The sun was setting. She was holding the scarf again, running it between her fingers like a prayer. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, but her eyes looked far away. "I've been thinking. All those years I chased Hollywood, awards, fame, and yet the only thing that feels real is here. This dirt, these people, this house." Keanu sat beside her. "It's because this is where your story started. And maybe this is where it's strongest." Anna turned to him. "I think I was afraid to come back because I thought it would make me small again. Like I'd disappear into who I used to be." "But you didn't," Keanu said gently. "You grew bigger. You became more." They sat quietly. Then Anna asked something she had never dared before. "Keanu, ... why do you stay?" He looked at her. His eyes steady. "Because you remind me of the people who saved my mother. Because you carry the same spirit. And because ... I care." Her lips parted, but no words came. Only a long breath. "You're not just helping me rebuild a house," she whispered. "You're helping me rebuild myself." He didn't answer. Instead, he reached out and gently held her hand. Just for a moment, and that was enough. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A woman arrived from the city. Well-dressed, serious eyes, carrying a camera crew. She introduced herself as a journalist from an international magazine. "We heard about your project." Someone shared photos. "We'd like to do a story." Anna hesitated. "This isn't for publicity."
Hey.
Woman smiled gently. "It's not about you. It's about legacy. This story might inspire others to go home too, to rebuild, to remember." Anna looked at Keanu. He gave her the smallest nod. She agreed. The interview was short, quiet, but emotional. They filmed the yellow house, the village, the people. But what captured the most attention was the wall behind the house. Anna had painted it herself with help from the kids. It said, "Kindness lives longer than stone." 2 days later, the article went viral. Thousands of comments flooded in. People shared stories of their own grandmothers, their forgotten homes, acts of kindness that had shaped their lives. Donations poured in, not just money, but letters, books, photos. Anna sat beside Keanu that night, stunned. Double quotes, "I thought I was just fixing my past," she said. "You're helping." "Others find theirs too," he replied. She turned to him, emotion rising in her chest. "We're not just building a school, we're building memory." Keanu reached into his pocket and pulled out a smooth stone. He handed it to her, engraved on it. In careful letters were the words, "For Luz." Anna clutched it tightly. She didn't cry, but her eyes said everything that night. She stood alone under the stars again. This time, she didn't feel like a visitor. She felt like a part of the sky. And when she whispered, "Thank you," the wind carried her words like a secret. The red cloth in the window danced, and somewhere deep inside her, something old finally healed. The light she left behind the sun rose slow over the village on the final day. Golden rays touched the rooftop of the yellow house, now bright and clean, with new windows and strong walls. Birds fluttered above, and the soft hum of voices came. From every corner, it felt like the village had taken a deep breath and let go of everything old and broken. But today wasn't about building. Today was about remembering and celebrating. The new school beside the house, still unfinished, was now painted with bright colors, handprints of children across the side, and a sign that read, Casa Luz, the House of Light. Anna stood in front of it, wearing a simple white dress. Her hair was loose, and around her wrist was her grandmother's scar, faded but whole. The entire village gathered. From the smallest child to the oldest elder, Keanu stood beside her, quiet as always. His black shirt was slightly dusty, and his hands still showed signs of labor, but his eyes held peace. The mayor spoke first. He talked about history, about memory, about how one woman's kindness had changed an entire village. But then he surprised everyone. Before we move forward, he said, there is someone who would like to speak. He turned to Anna. She stepped forward slowly. The crowd hushed. Her voice trembled at first. I left this village when I was young. I thought I had to chase something big, something bright. Thought that's how I'd matter. She paused, looked down at her hands, but sometimes the biggest light comes from the smallest places. She turned slightly and looked at the yellow house. This house was built by a woman who believed in people, who fed strangers, who loved children that weren't her own, who stitched shoes, who hung a red cloth and whispered prayers into the wind. She took a deep breath. She was my grandmother. And for a long time I carried her memory in silence, afraid it would be forgotten, afraid I wasn't enough to carry it. She looked toward the children. But I've learned something. Memory isn't heavy when it's shared. And kindness doesn't die, it passes from hand to hand. From heart to heart. Anna turned to Keanu. I didn't come back here alone. Someone stood beside me. Someone who understood what it means to lose and still choose to give. Keanu's eyes met hers, silent, steady. She faced the crowd again. This school we're building. This isn't just for books or lessons. It's for legacy, for stories, for healing, and for every child who needs to know they are not alone. The crowd burst into soft applause. Some clapped slowly. Some wiped tears. Andre stepped forward and handed Anna a candle, one by one. Everyone lit candles and placed them on the porch of the house. The steps glowed with little flames, each one flickering like a heartbeat as the sun sank low. The village stood in silence, and then, as if by instinct, they looked up. The stars were coming out. Later that night, Anna sat beside Keanu. On the old bench near the house, the children had gone home. The candles still burned. The air was cool and quiet. Thank you, she said. You don't need to thank me. He replied, Yes, I do, she whispered. You stayed when I was falling apart. You didn't try to fix me. You just stayed. Keanu looked at her. You didn't need fixing. You just needed remembering. Anna smiled. It was small and tired, but full of something warm. She reached into her bag and pulled out the childhood photo, the same one that had fallen on the trailer floor weeks ago. She handed it to him. Keep it, she said. Keanu looked surprised. Are you sure? It brought us here, she said. Let it remind you what kindness can do. He took the photo and held it gently. They sat in silence. Then Anna asked, Do you believe we were meant to meet? Keanu thought for a moment. I don't know if anything is meant, he said. But I know, this mattered. Anna leaned her head against his shoulder. The stars above blinked softly, and the red cloth in the window swayed with the night wind. Weeks later, the article reached people all over the world, but more importantly, so did the message. One letter came from a woman in Morocco who started feeding local orphans after reading Anna's story. Another from a boy in Brazil who fixed a broken library. In his town, the ripple spread, gentle, unseen, but powerful. And every time Anna saw the photo of the house, she smiled. Not because it was perfect, because it had stood through storms. Now, it stood for others. Back in Los Angeles months later, on a walk through a quiet studio hallway, a young actress passed her, looking nervous and lost. Anna stopped, smiled, and handed her a small, folded note. On it was a line her grandmother once wrote. You are already enough, just breathe. And be kind. The girl's eyes filled with tears, Anna walked on. Behind her, the red cloth still danced in her memory, and beside her, always, was the light her grandmother had left behind.